As he came before the House committee, Michael Cohen was a changed man, humbled, broken almost.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
He was unrecognisable as the swaggering lawyer who'd been Donald Trump's fixer and bagman for a decade.
I am ashamed of my weakness and my misplaced loyalty, of the things I did for Mr. Trump in an effort to protect and promote him. I am ashamed that I chose to take part in concealing Mr. Trump's illicit acts rather than listening to my own conscience. I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
Anybody who's seen Michael Cohen recently will tell you that he's burning with anger over having to take the blame for crimes he says were instigated by Donald Trump. One of those crimes, he says, took place right here in the White House. He claims that Trump, as president, repaid him cash he'd given to a porn actress called Stormy Daniels to buy her silence during the election campaign. Stormy said she'd had an affair with Trump. Cohen paid her $130,000 not to go public, handing over the money 2 days before voting began. He's going to jail for a campaign finance violation, and he told the committee the paper trail led directly to the president. He was talking about a check signed Donald J. Trump, August 2017.
Yet other than your testimony here today, there is absolutely no proof that those specific payments were for those specific purposes. Is that correct?
It's my testimony that the check that I produced as part of this testimony, the $35,000, and then the second check that's signed by Alan Weisselberg and Don Trump Jr., were 2 checks out of the 11 that were meant for the reimbursement of the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels.
Republicans adopted a liar, liar, pants on fire strategy.
No one can see this guy as credible. He will say whatever he wants to accomplish his own personal goals.
That's why that's important to you, to look up here and look at the old adage that our moms taught us, liar, liar, pants on fire. No one should ever listen to you and give you credibility.
But it would be interesting to see.
Remember the
I
campaign?
will tell you this. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
Trump knew, Cohen said, from his advisor of 30 years, Roger Stone. Stone had phoned Trump with a tip-off from WikiLeaks. But that doesn't mean the Trump campaign was conspiring with Russia, which is blamed for stealing the emails in the first place. A conspiracy or collusion would take something more.
Knowing how Mr. Trump operates with his winning at all costs mentality, do you believe that he would cooperate or collude with a foreign power to win the presidency? Is he capable of that?
It calls on so much speculation, ma'am. It would be unfair for me to.
I understand,
give
but
an
you
answer
have
for
a
that.
tremendous amount of experience, given
Mr.
what
Trump
you testified today.
is all about winning, and
And
he
in
will
your-
do what is necessary
and in
within
your
which to win.
opinion and experience, would he have the potential to cooperate or collude with a foreign power to win the presidency at all costs?
Yes.
In fact, Michael Cohen had very little to say about collusion in this hearing, except to say, under penalty of perjury, that he had not gone to see agents of the Kremlin in Prague, as is claimed in the famous dossier written by a former MI6 officer, Christopher Steele. This was a hearing about sex, sleaze, and secret payoffs. Today, it was not about Russia. Today's events unfolded as the president held his much-anticipated talks with North Korea. The White House, taking the same line as the committee Republicans, called Cohen a disgraced liar and a convicted perjurer. For much of what he spoke about, it comes down to his word against the president's. It's not at all clear which one the American public will believe.
Paul Woodward joining us now to discuss all this is Paris Dennard, a Republican communications strategist who's a supporter of President Trump, and Lisa Bloom, a U.S. civil rights attorney who represented women who said they had sexual misconduct allegations against the then presidential candidate, Donald Trump. Good evening to both of you. First of all, Paris Dennard, Michael Cohen said that Trump was a racist, a con man, and a cheat. Do you know for a fact that he's none of these?
I can only talk about the person that I know, that the candidate Donald Trump and President Donald Trump has never, in my opinion, and the opinion of those who have known him outside of Michael Cohen's convenient testimony, to be anything but an upstanding gentleman who has done nothing that has come close to be looked upon as being racist. And so I don't find him to be a racist. I wouldn't support a racist. I know Lynn Patton wouldn't support a racist. I know Katrina Pearson wouldn't work for a racist. And the things that he's done for the American people, especially the black community, have been profound, significant, and impactful and positive. So Donald Trump is no racist.
Well, Lisa Bloom, I mean, the Democrats have had their day, but was there anything that actually did any real damage to Donald Trump?
Oh, they did a great deal of damage because they very intelligently laid the foundation for future investigations and future criminal referrals. Not only do we have a lot of direct connections to Russia now, but we have the predicate for various financial crimes. I think most importantly, Michael Cohen coming forward with checks showing that he was reimbursed for those payments to Stormy Daniels. That's very important because those were clearly intended to influence the election, and therefore they were required to be disclosed in 2017 by Donald Trump.
Well,
they were not disclosed. And once Trump was president, he is then sending checks out on this.
Yes, we're going to come on and talk about what was available to us on Russia or not available to us as a result of Michael Cohen's testimony. But first, on that question, Paris Dennard, of those checks that were actually displayed in front of the politicians, you know, was that a bang to rights?
Look, at the end of the day, the president was paying his attorney. Michael Cohen at that time was his personal attorney, and there's no reason to believe that those weren't checks for a retainer or whatever they were for. They weren't illegal. What the president was doing for his own personal funds after becoming president of the United States to Michael Cohen was not an illegal act. And that's at the end of the day, that's what the American people saw. The American people also saw that there was no collusion, no connection to Russia as it relates to influencing the 2016 election. We did not see that in the testimony.
Well,
we did not see that.
That's right. There was no direct evidence that Trump had colluded with Russia, and also that WikiLeaks and Roger Stone also deny any email dump. Let's be quite clear that Roger Stone and WikiLeaks deny any email dump as well.
Yes, listen, I'm an attorney. I live in the real world. Michael Cohen did not have a retainer. Michael Cohen got an additional $130,000 from Donald Trump after he paid $130,000 to Stormy Daniels. As an attorney, I can tell you, I don't pay my clients checks, debts. It doesn't work that way. You know, Michael Cohen set up a sham corporation. He paid the money to Stormy Daniels, and then he was reimbursed by Donald Trump and his companies while Donald Trump was president. Michael Cohen is going to prison for that campaign finance violation. And you mean to tell me that just coincidentally the numbers add up to $130,000 bonus for Michael Cohen from Donald Trump in the following year? It doesn't pass the smell test.
It doesn't pass the smell test, Paris Dennard.
Well, you know what? Congratulations, Lisa, on being an attorney. But today, after looking at Michael Cohen, who was an attorney who was disbarred, who lied before the Congress and committed all kinds of acts, if you just look at what the Southern District of New York, the state's attorney, said about Michael Cohen and his deliberate actions of lying and being a con man, that is not speaking well for an attorney. So I don't care that you're an attorney, but the American people saw the fact that this man is a premeditated liar, a crook, and someone you cannot listen to because he has led a double life at doing these things for his own personal gain.
Just wait a minute. On this question, Paris, it was fair to say that the Republicans attacked Cohen and his character, but not necessarily what he was saying about Trump all the time. It was much more going after his character. Would you agree with that, Paris?
Well, I think that's what it wasn't just the Republicans, it's what the Southern District of New York State's attorney said about Michael Cohen, and I quote, it said, his naivete, carelessness, misplaced loyalty, or political ideology were knowing, calculated acts. He said he did this to profit personally and build his own power and enhance his level of influence. He said he was marked by a pattern of deception, permeated his own personal life, professional life.
He was his attorney for almost 10 years. Why do you think Trump would keep someone so close to him, his personal attorney, for all that time, if he thinks he's a liar and a cheat and a no-gooder and so forth?
And not just Michael Cohen. Everybody he surrounded himself with has now been indicted, convicted, or going to prison.
That's not true.
Poor Donald
Everybody
Trump
that
may
was around
just
the
have the worst.
That's not true.
If I may speak without interruption, I know you wanted to
hang on. I just want to ask you. I want to ask you if this will go down in history. You know, whether you think good or ill of what happened today, Paris Dennard, do you think this will go down in history as a significant moment in the Trump presidency?
I think this will go down in history as a significant moment in the United States of America because we saw the Democrat Congress overreach and be just purely political harassment, presidential harassment. When the president is overseas right now trying to have peace around the world in the North Korean peninsula, this Congress decides under Democrat leadership to do something, have a political theater and a circus while the president is gone overseas trying to maintain peace. That is shameful, it's embarrassing,
Lisa, just
and
to
we're
finish
better
up with
than
you,
this.
you have to admit there's nothing that puts Donald Trump any nearer impeachment after today, is there, really, truly, as an attorney?
I don't agree with that at all. I think we've heard a lot about him inflating his finances, deflating his finances when it served him. There's a lot of evidence about the conversations with Russia and connecting the dots. But, you know, this is a long process. It involves getting to the evidence. Your other guest wants to attack me for being an attorney for some reason. Republicans always just want to go on the attack. Listen, in real courtrooms every day, prosecutors get convictions based on testimony by people like Michael Cohen, people who are convicted liars. And they do it by connecting the dots and looking at documents. It is true that he is convicted of lying. And so we shouldn't just take his word for things. But he has produced solid evidence in support of what he's saying.
That's correct.
Thank you both very much indeed. I'm afraid we could probably do the whole program of this, but thank you very much anyway.